Well, hello, my radio friends. Now, on my bench presently, I've got this Philco Model 44. Um, but for the purpose of this video, I want to touch on more specifically these filter capacitors one sees here. And even more specifically, the restuffing of these two capacitors. Now, ordinarily, I'm not opposed to putting filter caps underneath the chassis. But in this particular application, it just didn't lend itself well with the orientation between the positive and where the negative lead was on the opposite end of the chassis and so forth. It just didn't lend itself well to that. Plus, Philcos, by nature of their design, quite often with their mounting clamps, one has a wide mounting clamp here, so it allows one to hide where one severs this main filter cap in half. Allow me to kind of show you a little more specifically. When the cap is removed, what I'll do is I'll come up about 3/4 of an inch or so, and I'll cut this cap can completely in half. Once it's separated, I'll remove, of course, the innards. They come out very easily. And this lower half, this lower piece, I'll take a Dremel tool with about a 1/16 drill bit, and I'll drill from the inside, and I'll come out through this rubber insulator as close as I could get to this positive lead or positive contact here. And I'll drill a 1/16 hole down through that insulator. I'll take a positive lead of the capacitor, run it through that hole I just drilled from inside, run it through that hole, bring it out here, and wrap it around this contact one sees here. So at that point, the positive lead is connected to the new capacitor within. And the negative lead will differ slightly from time to time depending upon the application, but quite often what I will do in most applications, I'll drill a small hole right in the edge of this can. I'll bring the negative lead out and bring it to the outside of the can right here. Let it extend up the side of the can, so when it mounts inside this mounting clamp, it gets compressed and it gets held in place very, very well. And a little more specifically, if I may, once this can is cut in half, one can imagine there's no structural integrity there. That's where this comes in. Piece of PVC, I pick it up at Lowe's or Home Depot within the plumbing department. It's a perfect size for the ID of this filter can. It slides in very, very well. And so it slides in the bottom half and it acts like a sleeve between the two halves and adds a lot of structural integrity to for the capacitor itself. It works very, very well. In fact, allow me to show you. We'll go back to the set. Once again, here's these two capacitors one sees here. These have both been restuffed, and as one can tell, they look very, very good. Allow me to separate this and show you. Here is this is actually the cap after the filter choke. You can see here's a new capacitor within. Here's the PVC that I spoke of a moment ago. I cut it I could have cut it longer yet, just the same, but I just cut a piece of PVC to splice the two pieces together of the capacitor can, and it works very, very well. And it allows one, if they so desire, if they have to at a later time, to replace this main filter cap without having to, makes it rather easily to do so. And it allows for a really good outward appearance. The one to the left is no different. This was kind of a dry electrolytic, if I may. It had two capacitors within. Same principle, piece of PVC. I did cut the cap in half. Piece of PVC to sleeve it, and one can see the new capacitors within. It makes for a very neat, clean install, neat, clean restuff, and it leaves it looking very, very much original. And like I say, this is not something I do all the time. In this particular set, it just lent itself to that very, very well. Anyway, there you have it. It's kind of what Dave does primarily on Philcos. And should you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. And of course, as always, until next time.